The Book of Mormon prophet Lehi taught his sons that Adam fell that men might be, and men are that they might have joy. He also taught them, however, that there needed to be an opposition in all things, that we could not know joy if we did not know pain. We could not know sweet if we did not taste the bitter. The tree of life in opposition to the forbidden fruit, one being sweet, one being bitter. The children of Israel were in bondage. They tried to escape a famine, eventually became so great Pharaoh felt threatened, and he put them into bondage, bitter bondage. And God was trying to teach them something about trusting him. Like the waters of Marah, he was able to make bitter experiences become sweet to them. There's lots of reasons we experience bitterness in life. We experience bitterness as a result of poor choices on our part, poor choices on the part of others. And then just sometimes we just live in a hard world where things are bitter. But as a Christian, I believe in Jesus Christ. And I believe that he paid the price of the bitterness and the sins of life. In fact, the scriptures even call it a bitter cup. But I believe that he partook and he finished the work his Father gave him. And I believe that that means everything. And that allows for any number of bitter cups to be drunken by ourselves, and yet it can still be sweet to us. As Elder Neal A. Maxwell, an apostle in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, once said, the ability to drink bitter cups without becoming bitter is the emulation of Jesus. And so what that does for me in my interactions with other people and my approach to life is if I can, regardless of any number of bitter cups I have to drink, if I can remember how merciful the Lord has been to everybody from the beginning of creation till now, and to me in my life, if I can develop this disposition of gratitude, recognizing that all things God puts in my life could be consecrated for my good, and if I can trust him, I believe he's able to give me eyes to see things the way he sees them, feel about others the way he feels about them. And in so doing, any bitter thing I have to drink, I believe God can make it sweet.
There's a part of the Seder meal called the karech, which is basically the process of building a sandwich. You take a couple of pieces of matzah or some bread, and you would, between those pieces of bread, you'd put some bitter herbs, and I'm going to use lettuce, and maybe some lamb or turkey, some other meat, and then you'd have to add a spread of some kind, and I'm using a little sweet mustard, and you put all the ingredients together. Before you know it, you've got this tasty little sandwich. Maybe the sandwich could be for us a symbol, a reminder that we, like the ingredients of the sandwich, we're better together. We actually need each other. The ingredients mingle together, and the whole is greater than the parts. And together, you and I we're just so much more than we can ever be on our own. As we mingle together, as we build relationships, as we draw near to each other and build bridges and connections, we become something more than we can be on our own. By themselves, bitter herbs just stay bitter. But when they mingle together with the other ingredients, when we mingle together with one another, the bitterness starts to move towards forgiveness, and slavery starts to move towards freedom and justice, and isolation starts to move towards connectedness and community. And all that happens best when we face into the struggles together, when we carry one another's burdens and share the load together, when we honor one another's stories. In the words of the first century rabbi, may we be one as God is one.
There's a print of a painting that hangs in the Fellowship Hall of Community United Church of Christ. It's a gift from the artist John August Swanson. It graces the space where we have gathered for over a century for Easter breakfasts and Christmas cookies and youth group pizza parties, and where for the past few years, every Monday night, hungry people and the folks who are serving them gather for Jubilee Cafe. So in this painting, there are like a dozen or so people, and they're gathered for this picnic feast. There's food and there's drink and there's music. They are ready for a party. And across the bottom, there are these 5 windows, glimpses of the people who are planting the food and gathering the food, and people who tended the food, people who are making this feast possible. Then across the middle of that painting, it says this: food is at the heart of community. Food that nourishes our minds and our hearts. Food means being together, celebrating together. Meals are at the center of our community because everything is about creating home. Jean Vanier, the founder of the L'Arche community, said that, by the way. So when the pandemic started, and I realized we were not going to be able to gather in that space for a meal for a long time, I went and stared at that painting, and then I went home and cried. But the truth is that while we have not been able to gather around those tables, and while Jubilee Cafe had to transform their weekly meal from table service into takeout, and while we are not able to gather around tables together today for this celebration, for this Interfaith Seder, the truth is that here we are virtually gathered around tables, our own tables at home, for this meal, for this celebration. The truth is that meals are still at the center of our community together here. Truth is, we're still feasting together. And so anytime we do that, and anytime we ensure that hungry people get fed, we help each other find home. May you all really be at home today in the breaking of this bread.
The timeless game of hide and seek spans cultures and religions. Play connects children and adults, and strangers become family in the spontaneous human inclination to search for what is missing. Earlier in the Seder meal, a middle piece of matzah is hidden in a napkin to be later discovered, usually by a child, often for a small reward. As we consider this sacred ritual of our Interfaith Seder, we are reminded of the importance of play for kids and adults, our love of our children, the desire to pass on traditions to the next generation, to find joy in common meals, to seek what is lost, and rejoice in new discoveries. We share this humanity. As we partake in the afikomen, this taste of hide and seek, may we delight in the game of finding the hidden truths that unite us. May we take joy in the children and teach them the ways of peace and freedom. May our common meals remind us to share our food with the hungry so that all can be full. And may this last taste of matzah be the bread that inspires our service of others in the year to come.